Hello everyone. In this video, we will discuss the recent introduction of new POS customer master field configuration in Ginesys ERP. So before we get into this enhancement, let's take a look at the background first. In our current Ginesys POS system, the appearance of the customer interface during bill is fixed and cannot be changed. Many brands wish to customize the field based on their preference, but they are unable to do so. So let's take an example to make it very clear. Imagine a brand wants to collect only 4 specific details from customer during billing, like mobile number, first name, date of birth, and email. However, the POS screen displays many more fields, which creates confusion for both customer and cashier. So there are two scenarios where we require capturing the customer details during billing. In the first scenario, cashier manually input the required data after collecting it from the customer. Since cashiers are usually well trained, this process works smoothly without any issues. But in the second scenario, where some brand asks customer to input the required detail themselves using a handheld device or a small tablet. The problem here is that the POS screen shows numerous fields, which creates a confusion for customer. So in that case, cashier need to assist the customer in filling the necessary information every time. So that impact the overall billing experience for both the cashier and the customer. So this is the main issue we are trying to resolve with this enhancement. So in this enhancement, we have made the POS customer master configurable. It means brands can now customize the POS customer master field as per their need. So before we go to the ERP screen, it is important to note that only the HO will manage this configuration and it will be applied to the POS customer master only. So now let's move into the ERP screen and see how it's work. Here you can see to incorporate this change, we have introduced a new app operation called setting. So once we click on this, a new window will be open like this. So this is our new configuration window from where customer can customize their POS customer master fields. So let's understand each column in details. First, we have a field. This represents the name of the field. Second one is visible. So now onwards, brand can easily manage their field by toggling the visibility option. So if they wish to display a particular field in the POS, they can simply mark it as a tick, otherwise they can leave it as untick. The third one is mandatory. So now onwards, the decision to make a field mandatory depend on the brand preference. User have the flexibility to designate which field must be ticked as mandatory or not. So one point here we need to keep in mind that previously we had a 4 field, that is first name, last name, mobile number and ISD code as a mandatory. But after this change, only mobile number, ISD code will be hard-coded visible and mandatory with sequence as 1, and the same cannot be changed. And the last option is sequence. As the name itself is self-explanatory that this option will allow brands to set the sequence of a particular fields, and those fields will then be displayed in the POS screen in the specific order. So with these 3 options, visible, mandatory and sequence, user can efficiently customize and manage their field in the POS screen at the time of billing, and that met their specific requirement as well. So before we go to the POS screen to check this, it is important to note that there are 2 fields with a grouping logic. The first one is city and the second one is GST number. If a user selects city, then city, state, district, country and the PIN field will automatically visible in the POS screen, and the same applies to the GST field as well. But if any user make the city field as mandatory, it doesn't mean that all the other field will also become mandatory. In that case, only the city field will be mandatory and the rest of the field will be visible but not as mandatory one. So now let's consider an example and see how it could work in the POS. Suppose a brand only needs 4 details from the customer. Those are mobile number, first name, email and date of birth. In that case, mobile number and first name will be mandatory one. As we have already mentioned that mobile number is a system hard-coded mandatory, so we'll mark first name as mandatory because rest of the field user can customize according to their preference. So now I will save the data. And let's go to the POS skin and see how it could work in the system. So this is our POS skin and here I am going to create a new customer now and let's see what happened. Now you can easily see that all the fields that are already marked as visible in the HO including mobile number are present here, like mobile number, first name, email and date of birth, out of which two fields are mandatory, mobile number and first name. So here I'm going to input mobile number, email address and date of birth, and let's proceed to save the information now. Here we can see that as I have already marked the first name field as mandatory and we are not providing any data in that particular field, so system already shows the validation error as that no data has been captured for that field. So now I have to update the data and try to save again. After this enhancement, the brand can easily handle their customer information in the system to enhance the overall billing experience with this new feature. So now let's focus on few important points. As I already mentioned earlier that after this change, mobile number and ISD is hard-coded mandatory, but brand can customize the other field as well according to their need. And the next point is, this change will only applicable for Ginesys HO and Ginesys POS. There will be no impact on Zwing POS. Third point is, this configuration acts as the main configuration and affects all sites globally, rather than being specified to any individual site. So, any update made by the user will have a universal impact across all the sites. And the fourth point is, this modification will affect normal POS, delivery slip and the collection center during add and edit modes. But in migration, after this update, all the fields will automatically visible in the system. However, for loyalty, there are specific settings that affect the migration process. So let's take a closer look at these settings. As you all know, there can be two types of loyalty service provider in Ginesys ERP. One could be Ginesys itself and other one could be EMR. And default value for loyalty service provider is always set as Ginesys. And before this enhancement, if the loyalty service provider is Ginesys, the field for customer loyalty is always present in the POS Customer Master UI. And if the loyalty service provider is set as EMR, the visibility of customer loyalty field in POS Customer Master UI is depend upon a configuration for EMR, that is membership enabled. If which is set as true, then the field for customer loyalty could be present in the UI, otherwise not. But after this enhancement, since we have introduced a new setting based on which the visibility of the fields in POS Customer Master UI could be decided, this configuration of EMR is not needed now. Hence, we have diluted this is membership enable configuration from the system. And after this enhancement, visibility of customer loyalty field could be derived from the new setting as we just shown you. Also, before this enhancement, since the default value for loyalty service provider was always Ginesys, so field for customer loyalty was always present in the POS Customer Master UI, even if the brand was not using the loyalty. But after this enhancement, same could be set as not visible through a new setting, and the brand which are not using loyalty could benefit from this. So if we talk about the migration part for this, the system will check the master policy and EMR configuration. If loyalty service provider is set as EMR in master policy and is membership enabled configuration is set as false before migration, then the visibility for customer loyalty field will be migrated as not visible otherwise visible. So this is it for the video. I hope this enhancement will help you to manage POS Customer Master UI more efficiently. And this video was presented by the Ginesys product team. If you have any question related to this enhancement, please feel free to connect with our Ginesys support team. Thank you.